I never believed silence could be loud, until the night I stood alone in my kitchen, staring at my phone, knowing the one message I wanted to send was the one I was most afraid of. My name is Ethan Brooks. I'm 32. I design digital campaigns for brands that pretend to understand people. Ironically, I barely understood myself. Life had become efficient, organized, predictable, and empty. That changed the afternoon. My car refused to start in the parking lot of my apartment complex. I was already late for a meeting. Rain tapped impatiently against the windshield. I cursed under my breath, popped the hood, and stared at the engine like it had personally betrayed me. "Car trouble?" A calm voice asked behind me. I turned and saw Claire Morgan, my neighbor from 2 doors down. I knew her only by sight. She walked her dog every morning, read on her balcony in the evenings, and always looked grounded, like someone who had already survived life storms. "I think it's dead," I sighed. She smiled slightly. Cars usually are when people need them most. She offered call roadside assistance. While we waited, we talked about nothing important. The weather, the building, her dog, Milo. 40 minutes passed without me noticing. When the tow truck arrived, I realized something unsettling. I didn't want the conversation to end. Later that night, I Googled her name without guilt. She was 56. I told myself it didn't matter, then immediately told myself it did. Over the next few weeks, we kept running into each other. Too often to be accidental. Too natural to be forced. One evening, the elevator stopped between floors. Perfect. We laughed about it at first. Then the laughter softened into something quieter. Claire leaned against the wall, arms crossed loosely. "Life has a strange sense of humor," she said. "How so?" "It puts people in small spaces when they're trying to avoid thinking." That line stayed with me. When the elevator finally moved again, I felt oddly disappointed. She invited me for coffee the following Sunday. I almost said no, but loneliness has a way of convincing fear to stay silent. Her apartment smelled like old books and fresh coffee, the kind of place that tells stories without speaking. We sat by the window, sunlight stretching across the floor, and talked for hours about careers, regrets, the strange grief of becoming the person you once promised yourself you wouldn't be. Claire didn't speak like someone trying to impress me. She spoke like someone who knew who she was. That terrified me. "You're different when you talk," she said at one point. "Different how?" "Like you're finally saying things you've been editing your whole life." I laughed it off, but she was right. The connection grew quietly. No labels, no expectations. Until one night, when quiet became impossible. We were sitting on her balcony, city lights blinking like distant thoughts. "I need to ask you something," she said softly. I already knew what it was. "Do you ever think about the age difference?" she asked. I swallowed. "All the time." She nodded. "Me too, just not in the same way." I turned to her. "What do you mean?" "You think about years," she said. "I think about moments." The honesty in her voice shook something loose inside me. "I don't want to hurt you," I said, "or waste your time." Claire smiled sadly. "Ethan, time doesn't get wasted when it's lived honestly." That night, I didn't sleep, because connection is easy. Commitment is not. My friends noticed a change before I admitted it. "Bro, you're distracted," my friend Mark said. "You seeing someone?" I hesitated, then told him. The reaction was immediate. "Man, she's older than my mom." I laughed weakly, but his words stayed. So did my sister's reaction. "So what's the plan?" she asked carefully. "I don't know." I admitted. "That's what scares me," she said. Everyone had opinions. None of them lived in my chest. A week later, Claire noticed a shift. "You've been pulling away," she said quietly as we stood in the hallway. "I'm just thinking," I replied. She studied me for a long moment. Thinking or hiding? That question hurt because it was accurate. "I don't want to be the reason you hesitate," she continued. "I've lived too long to beg for certainty." That night, she didn't text me good night. The silence returned, louder than ever. 3 days passed. Then 4. On the 5th day, I realized something devastatingly simple. Every fear I had was about what others might think. None were about how she made me feel. So I knocked on her door. She opened it slowly, surprise flickering across her face. "I'm not here to convince you," I said before fear could stop me. "I'm here to be honest." She stepped aside. I took a breath. "I'm scared. Not of you. Of myself. Of how real this feels." She listened without interrupting. "I've spent my life choosing safe," I continued, "and it's left me alone. You don't." Silence stretched. Then she said quietly, "I don't need promises. I need presence." I nodded. "Then let me show up." For the first time, she smiled fully. We didn't rush after that. We talked about futures, about limits, about reality. Some days were difficult, some conversations uncomfortable, but none were dishonest. Months later, we sat on the same balcony where everything nearly fell apart. "Do you regret it?" I asked. She shook her head. "I regret the years I spent thinking love had an expiration date." I looked at her, truly looked at her. Time hadn't brought us together. Choice had. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't counting years. I was counting moments. Thank you for watching Classic Stories. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that remind us how powerful compassion truly is.